Okay, so let's talk about music theory for a moment. I was going to teach all of this stuff, chord progressions, making melodies, chord with types of chords, all of that stuff. But I didn't want to overwhelm anybody, especially if you're new to music in general. And music theory might be a little like, geez, you're talking like you're really technical right now. Like I'm having trouble grasping it. I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So I created this little resource just to learn the names of your notes, right? So start there. And this will become really handy in the piano roll if you know what the names of the notes are. C is always the one before the 2 black notes, and F is always the one before the 3 black notes. That'll kind of help you, put some milestones in there to remember. And then I also want to introduce the concept of relative minor, because you'll be using that from time to time as well. So, for example, let's say you're in the key of C major. Every major chord has a relative minor. Now, what relative minor means is a major chord sounds happy, I guess is a good way to put it, or a major, key or chord is going to have that type of sound, and then an I is maybe spooky, mysterious, sad when you think of minor. It has that emotional feel to it. But they have the same scale, which is interesting, A minor and C major, but it all depends on where you start. And where you start is called the root note. So, for example, A would be the root note of an A minor scale, and C would be the root note of a C major scale. So when you are trying to make, let's say you're in a session, your whole song is in the key of C major, and you're trying to use a sample or, an instrument or something that's in a certain key, but it's in a minor, it's using a minor scale. That might actually work. You just have to pull it in, make sure it's the relative minor scale to that major scale. So, for example, if you pulled in a sample that was in A minor and your session was in C major, it might work. It may sound good. It's going to be using the same notes, right? It just has a different root note, but it's still going to be using some of the same chords. Now, let's say you were working in C major, and you have a sample that's in G minor, for example. You would just need to raise that sample up to A, which would be 2 semitones, 1 note here, 1 note here. You would just need to raise it 2 half steps, they're also called, for it to become A minor and for it to go into this C major session. I hope that wasn't too confusing. In order to find your relative minor, you can just count down 3. So, if you're in C, you'd go B, B flat, A, and you would know, 1, 2, 3, that's your relative minor. You could Google a chart. Maybe I'll just recreate this one and include it in this course to make it easy, but that's it right there. So you can see C major, A minor is the relative minor. All right. So this will come in handy when we start importing samples and using samples in the beat that we create, and we may reference back to this. But that's all you really need to know with today's AI tools and everything else that are available to you, especially with things like Arcade or, some of those unison things like MIDI Wizard or Bass Dragon or, all of those types of things. Scalar 2, all of those. This is really all you need to know about music theory, and you have to have a natural ear for music as well in order for it to make sense. But this is really all you need to know. I don't know why I have my headphones on. I was using the DAW earlier. This is really all you need to know for now. Hey, what's going on? I hope you've enjoyed this training. This training is just part of a larger course, so if you want to take the whole course, just go to this playlist right here. Also, if you subscribe to my channel, you're going to get a lot of information on how to get your music into TV and film. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and subscribe, comment, like, all of those things. Let's go.